Welcome into another episode of the Vitamin C's podcast, proud part of the CLNS Media Network and sponsored and powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and sportsbook partner of CLNS. Joined by Wayne Breezie Brown today, and we're going to be talking about all things Celtics, everything that's been going on over the last week or so, and another tough loss, this time to the Utah Jazz. And again, it was late game execution that cost them this one. Wayne, how are we feeling? It's a weighted question, I know.
It's a great it's weighted, but it is what it is. I mean, because at this point, it's like, you want to. All right, so you're watching the game and you're feeling really confident because the Celtics are pretty much in control, and then they get hit with some type of secret weapon or something.
Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place your first $5 bet.
My marketing or something happened, and next thing you know, you saw whatever energy they started the game out with, they started to lose it. So I think I'm more concerned about the energy level of our team. Are we running out of gas? Why does it have to come down to the last play? Why are we not taking care of business against these teams? Again, we're having the same conversation, Tim, about the teams that are just inferior. And when I say inferior, it doesn't mean like you can't lose a game on any given night. When we're looking at a team with the record, their record isn't that bad, but they're potentially the 10th seed, right? And you're potentially the 2nd seed, which you lost. Now you're the 3rd seed. I don't know. I just feel like these are games you should dominate, especially when you dominate for 2.5. I would say the Celtics dominated against the Jazz for 2.5 quarters, bro. And then all of a sudden, you just saw them chisel and lose the lead. They did dumb stuff, turn the ball over, give them easy buckets, things like that. And I don't know. I don't know. I can't say at this moment we're missing a man, which we are technically. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I think my concern and my confidence level, if I had to rate my confidence in the Celtics right now, it's like a 7 going down to a 6, but I should be at a freaking 10, bro. So it's kind of weird to me.
I mean, I think part of it too, like it is important to keep context when you're talking about guys being out, missing multiple guys with, especially against the Jazz. They got killed on the boards, but that's because they didn't have Rob, they didn't have Al, and you also don't have Marcus Smart in there as well to lead that offense. But they had a 19-point lead, very similar to like some of these other games they've blown where you build a massive lead, you end up, letting it just bleed out, and then you find yourself in a really close game late in the game in the 4th quarter, and you just mismanage it. And part of that, I wonder how much of this, like, you chalk up to, is it just, seasonal fatigue? Like, are they just running out of steam as like the season's coming to a close? Are they getting bored? Or how much of it's like just overall issues surrounding the team? You're worried about the execution on offense. You're worried about the defense. You're worried about how these rotations are going to work out because Joe Mazzulla keeps flipping things around. And again, we find another night where Derek White's not getting any run in the 4th quarter, 0 minutes in the 4th quarter. And I know that you don't have Marcus Smart. You're trying to figure everything out with, how you're navigating all these injuries. And you don't play like one of your best players in the 4th quarter. Grant Williams has a great game, but then that last play that just fell apart. And it's rough. Like, how much of that is on Joe? How much of that's on the players? Because it seems like they're running a similar set where you're running Tatum out of the backcourt and having him come in. But I don't know. Like, it's just weird. And, Grant talked about the play after the game, and it was not originally drawn up for him. It was originally supposed to be a play for Tatum, and he ended up making a play for the rim, and they collapsed, and game over. But Jaylen Brown has like an amazing game that night as well. And he's honestly been on fire since the All-Star break. And they're not drawing up these 4th quarter looks for him at all. So I'm just wondering, like, how much of this is on Joe? How much of this is just on players not executing and getting bored? Like, where's the balance here? Because it's really frustrating to see them repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, at least over this month. Like, March has been rough for them as a team. So
yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, I'm looking at the play over and over again, and I'm just, you know, at the end of the day, Grant's shot gets blocked. I didn't really see too much time on the clock for him to possibly kick it back to Tatum that wasn't necessarily wide open, and then you had another player kind of like crashing down in there to where he could have probably gave it up to get a better look at the shot. But I mean, hey man, he got the ball and they crashed the boards on him, and unfortunately, he just doesn't have the length of the size to overleap those guys. I mean, even Rob Williams may have gotten that shot blocked, but at least he would have been able to get up and possibly try to get it over. But Grant had a phenomenal game, so this isn't about Grant Williams to me. This is just, and I wouldn't say that was a bonehead play. I mean, he was the guy that got open, so he made the right play. Like, he got open, but that could have been by design on their defense. Listen, take away everybody else, get it to somebody that whatever. And they didn't believe that Grant would be able to get it done at the rim, and his shot got blocked by two guys. Well, one guy, but it was two guys there. So again, why the Celtics putting themselves in that predicament is my question. So why even get to that? Why? Like, they were shooting well, they were doing well, they had a 19-point lead, and they just let their foot off the gas. Like, that's what we do. That's the Celtics. Seems like to be the Celtics way for some apparent reason. And maybe it is because you want to take into context that you're missing, three key players that would be out there, that could be out there and keep the, the wheels turning. But at the end of the day, these are all professional basketball players. And I get it. They were blitzing Jason Tatum all night long. Looking at his stat sheet, looking the way he played, he just couldn't really get it going. It was a Jaylen Brown, really Grant Williams type of a night, and when you're playing a team out west, when you're playing any of these Eastern Conference teams, Celtics got to continue to figure out ways to get through whatever adversity that they're faced, and they have to get through it. Now, over a 7-game period, thank goodness that's how the NBA, playoffs is scheduled and made up. I feel like they can overcome a lot, right? But we got to finish strong, man. I'm a cool believer in it. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish, Tim. And right now, we started off hot, and we're dealing with adversity like every other team, which is not an excuse, but it just doesn't seem like we're finishing strong. And are we seeing growing pains from our head coach? Like, can he not, manage these big time situations? Can he not get these players on board to pull out a victorious win in a tough situation like that? Down by one, you got to get a bucket, man. You got to get a bucket. You got to get a bucket. Hauser was in there.
Yeah.
You got to get a bucket.
Well, I also didn't like that they pulled a 2-for-1 for Tatum. I don't think that was really the play to do it, man. Like, Tatum had a rough time. The second quarter, he was actually playing really well, but first quarter wasn't great. He barely got any looks in the second half. So why are you putting him in that situation where you're giving him the ball, forcing him to make that bucket? Yeah. Now, Jaylen Brown hits the 3 to go ahead, and then you end up letting up the play for the Jazz to go ahead at that moment as well. And you don't give Jaylen another shot there. I don't know how you're going out of an ATO and you're not getting the guy who's got the hottest hand on the whole damn team right now. You're not getting him a look. Right. And for Grant, Grant's strength is not bringing the ball inside. It's his ability to stretch the floor. So I know you can tell that whole possession, that final play, as Grant said, it wasn't a play drawn up for him, but it was a play that ended up getting run. And they didn't have any timeouts. There was nothing else they could really do after that point. But it's still a situation that got mismanaged, I think. Yeah. Granted, the Celtics shouldn't have put themselves in that position in the first place for that game to come down to that. And that was bad on their part in terms of execution. But you definitely could have gone about that last play differently. Now, I'm just having this issue where I feel like Joe, in these late game situations, we're starting to see more and more issues. And I don't know if this is an inability to adjust or what have you, but being able to read a situation and make adjustments with your lineups, with your rotations, and who you're going to. Because Jaylen Brown should have gotten that ball.
He never should have got that ball, though.
And he never gets it. And I don't get it anymore, man. They're drawing up looks for Tatum, which I totally makes sense. Makes sense. It's either him or Brown. If they're both on the floor, one of those guys should be getting the last look. Al Horford got that corner three that didn't go down a few games back, but like that was a good look. It just didn't go down. It sucks. But, like it's those kind of things where these plays are breaking down and they're not doing a good job of fixing things on the fly. And it just gets very concerning.
Yeah, I think if Brown gets that shot or if Tatum gets that shot, make or miss, you live with it. But because you want those two guys taking that shot. Game's on the line, big time moment. Those are your big time players. I wonder if this is deeper than what we're thinking. And I hate to be the conspiracy theorist, but is this a possible way of them probably not trying to get Brown like that max deal extension?
No, the issue I have with that is I think it hurts their chances of being able to keep him. So like
I see where you're going.
And at the end of the day, like that actually hurts the Celtics in the long run more than it would help them. Because it really gives them the ability to go ahead and retain him, right? So no, by any means I would say that they're trying to stop him from getting those looks. I think it's just I think that's on coaching. I think that's what it comes down to. It comes down to coaching. It comes down to off-ball movement and just guys trying to get open. But there's too much of this standing still in those kind of situations where they're just like, all right, we're going to stand back and let this guy do his thing, as opposed to trying to open up any kind of other opportunity. So I don't know. It's frustrating. And it makes you think, like looking at everything that's happened so far this season, from the hot start up until now, what team is the real Celtics? Like, what version are we going to get? It's a Jekyll and Hyde thing every game.
Yep, every game.
You don't want to overreact to this kind of thing, right? Like, this game sucks. Ultimately, it's, second leg of a back-to-back. You don't have your two best, big men.
Right.
And you're trying to keep that in perspective. And at the same time, it's like, look, if you guys are going to, like, not execute and lose these games, the least you can do is rest guys. And maybe that ties into Derek White not playing in the fourth quarter, but I think he had like 25 minutes under his belt on the night. So like he could have gotten a little bit of run. And Jason Tatum and Grant Williams, I think both of them played a full 12 minutes for that fourth quarter. They played the entirety of that fourth quarter. So it's just really confusing. It's like they're trying to navigate these injuries. And then when it comes to trying to sub guys in that can actually help, it's just not getting done. So I don't know what exactly needs to change going into these final few games, but it's at this point now, do you have to think about prioritizing health? Do you try and stay in that second seed? Do you worry about, falling to the third seed? And, you've got Philly right there. So it's it's a mess right now.
It is. And I think it alludes back to what you said earlier about just mismanagement, but maybe there's just a reason for it. Maybe there is a reason for it. And you mentioned several options onto what it could be, like, because we don't know. We just like, dang, like how is Derek White not playing in this game? He's probably been your hottest or second hottest player, period, since the break, because he's always been consistent. He's been getting plenty of burn, and he's been out there making sure he's driving to the basket, creating free throws, hitting his shots, and he's been consistent with it. And then you take that offense away, and you're not able to generate easier baskets and things like that. I mean, it allows these teams to come back. I mean, granted, Utah started shooting very well. Like they started shooting very, very well. So it is what it is, when it comes down to the Celtics. Look, I'm looking forward to their next matchup against the Kings. A young, speedy.
A good Kings team, man. That Kings team's really snuck up on everybody. So much better than everybody else thought they were gonna be.
Yep.
And that Sabonis trade looks great, as much as it sucks to see Tyrese Halliburton lighting it up for the Pacers and playing so well. And he's got a bright future in this league too. But just overall, like those kind of teams, you look at the Cavaliers as well, like just those young and up and coming teams that are going to start putting pressure on teams like the Celtics and the Bucks and all of these other top tier teams, and the Kings being in that mix, that's going to be a really big test, I think, for the Celtics going into that game. You really need a bounce back game. And I thought this was the one that the Jazz should have been a team you took care of. The Kings are going to be a team that's going to push you. So that's going to be a really tough one to go into.
The best thing is when the Celtics are pushed, they play better. They finish stronger. They close out.
I hope.
They just think about it. Think about the teams that really play them. I don't know. What am I trying to say? Because there are teams that get in the Celtics' face that are scrappy, that are, we struggle against those teams. But against these better teams, I would say the Kings is one of those better tier teams. Celtics pretty much show up, and let's see who's going to be out there. I mean, you're probably going to get a Al Horford ready to go. You're going to have that there to help you, that give you some offense as well as defense, as well as rim protection, as well as being able to defend the perimeter. So Al being there would be a huge bonus for the Celtics when they play the Kings.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess we'll see what happens there. Just wanted to get something out there, kind of vent and get our thoughts out into the open and before we go into this Tuesday matchup. So we're just going to wrap for today. Thank you very much for hopping on, Wayne. I know we've got a tight schedule, tight ship to run. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining in. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and you'll be finding more of our material over on CLNS Media. And once again, we are sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and proud partner of CLNS Media. Other than that, take care, everybody. Cheers.